Well, they are three little words that can say so much. I love you. And when it comes to retirement planning, those could be just the magic words you need in order to ensure that your future is a bright one. We have Greg and Kristen Taylor from Legacy Retirement Group with us here today, and they're going to explain exactly what this means. So thanks for being here, guys.
Good to be here today.
Good to be here.
Now, Kristen and Greg, you kind of have a story, so I don't know if Kristen wants to share this, that started off with asking Greg if he really loved you.
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, we were really getting into where we were transitioning our practice into complete planning. We talk about it all the time. We think it's very important. And so we were doing all these things with couples with estate planning. And I looked at Greg one day and I said, "Do you love me?" And he kind of was like, "Oh, this is a leading question, you know."
I'm in trouble.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
We do all of this estate planning with clients, with our estate planning attorney, but we've not done any of it. Now, we've done our financial planning and we have things set up for future income and those things, but we hadn't done that yet. So I said, we have 3 young boys. Like, we need to get on the ball with this stuff like yesterday, you know? So he did, actually, literally that day, called and got an appointment set up with the estate planning attorney, and we got those documents in order. But, you know, being young and having young kids, I thought, oh man, this is so important for us, but it is just as important for those entering into retirement. And here's why. A lot of times we find people have done the will and powers of attorney and all those things, but they did them when their kids were young and they've not updated them. Or maybe there's been, unfortunately, a divorce that's happened.
And that's the thing, people forget about things, I feel like that. They say, I did it, it's done, and it's in the closet somewhere, right?
Exactly. We find that a lot of people, those documents are 10 years old.
Or longer.
Or longer, yes,
So,
at least 10 years old.
So for young families that are watching today, they need to make sure that what's going to happen to my children? Who's going to care for them if something happens to us? For those who've been down the path quite a ways, maybe they're in their 50s or 60s, you know, yes, you did some of those things 20 years ago, but just 2 weeks ago, we had a man in the office and he sat down with me. He said, "Greg, I just realized that my ex-wife is the beneficiary on everything," as I was going through it. And I said, "Well, is that what you want?" And he said, "Well, no." so
there's a lot of loaded questions in here today, right?
Yeah, so we made some arrangements for him to sit down with our estate planning team and get those documents. But even Kristen's mother right now is in hospice up in Cleveland, and some of the basic documents she had never taken care of, even though we had mentioned it to her and tried to get her to take care of, and things like a durable power of attorney for health care. You know, HIPAA waiver.
Yeah, and it's sometimes morbid to think to have to do that.
Sure.
But here's the thing, you don't want your family to be burdened with making those decisions and trying to figure out if the decisions are what you would want. If you go ahead and make those in advance, then the family can just carry out your wishes.
They can relax a little bit at a time when they're going to need to.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned then estate planning. The other thing that we want to talk about is income planning, because I think this is one of the big ones for a lot of folks who are afraid of running out of money.
It is, and you know, so many times we get that pension option, we look and say, well, if I just take it on my life only, I'm going to get this big check or bigger check. And if I make my spouse a beneficiary on my pension, then I'm going to get a lot less. And I can't tell you how many families, they choose the life only on the worker. The now money, and they don't think about the future money that might be needed and other income. And there's also a loss of Social Security if one spouse passes. So a lot of families don't take into consideration, not only will inflation cause the need for more income, but also a loss of a spouse is a big, big need. And a lot of husbands or wives aren't feeling real confident right now if one of them should pass, because there's going to be a big drop in income.
Okay, so we've got estate planning, income planning. We mentioned the Advanced Healthcare Directive.
Yes.
And all of these things are something that you guys really can take care of during your complete planning review.
It's essential. It really is. And
I didn't want to interrupt you
there. Yes, that's okay.
But yeah, it is essential. He's right. And so we look at all the areas and getting all this stuff together, that we call it, and making sure they all can work in sync, because most people will have things here or there. This is old. They've got, you know, life insurance over there. They may have had one attorney do one document, another do another, and we just want to pull it all together into a complete plan for you.
Right. That's why we call it the Complete Planning Review. And so for our viewers today, if they call in, we'll be glad to sit down with them personally to to go through that process, as well as send them out an electronic copy of my book, Winning Retirement.
All right, sounds perfect, and I'm glad Greg said yes, he loves you, right? He did say that, right?
Yes.
Before the planning.
Yes.
All right. All right, well, next up, do you know your floor? Greg and Kristen will explain what that is and why you should know it right after this break.